we are going to discuss about data blending. Okay. Apart from all the various types of various ways to connecting to a data source in within Tableau, we can we can have multiple connections for one dashboard, and within that within each connection we can have multiple sources. So if within a connection, if we have multiple sources and we are performing some sort of a join over those data that are present inside one single connection, that is called as data joins that we've already discussed. Okay, suppose if you want to like correlate data from two different connections, okay, two entirely different data source connections itself, then that can be performed during at any point of creating a workbook. So doing performing that operation is called as data blending. Okay, it is a very powerful feature, and the data blending that we do is will be worksheet specific. Okay, so now let's see how we can perform this data blending. So now I'm going to connect to a Microsoft Excel source. Okay, so I have here my sample superstores Excel, and then I'll click open. So it is extracting, so let it extract. Okay, so I'll be using my orders. So I'll be using my orders. Let me rename this connection to connection 1. So this is within my first connection I have brought in a I've added a source, Microsoft Excel source, and then from this Excel source I've brought in orders. I can have like multiple data sources here, and then by clicking this add option and then clicking whatever the data source I want, from here I can bring in multiple sources. Okay, so the thing is, if I bring in the other source data also here, it will become a cross join, and this data will be reflected throughout all the worksheets that I am going to use, even if it's not necessary. Even if I want this data from the other data source only for one single worksheet, if I perform that sort of a join here, if I perform a join here, it will bring in all the data. Okay, so that I do not want, so that is why I have not used. Okay, so this is my first connection. I'll go to my worksheet. Okay, here only one connection is showing. Now I'll create another connection. Before creating another connection, let me okay. So let me copy this and then create a new Excel. So here I am going to paste this data as a category furniture and offices. So this is going to be my secondary data source, and then let there be sales, and then for sales let it be 123 4 5, any number. Just I'll remove this cat technology from here. So this is going to be my second data source. Okay, so I will save this in my Tableau repository, my data sources 2000. Yes, let me save it to data 2 for data blending. Okay, I'm gonna click save now, and then I'll close this. Okay, so in my from my first worksheet, now I'm displaying my sales and sales for each category. Okay, so now what I'll do, I'll create another connection by clicking here, and then from my Excel source I've already we've already created our data, so I'm just gonna click on that. Okay, so let it bring, and then it will take us to our connection pane. So let this be connection 2. Connection 2. So it has got only one sheet, so it Tableau has automatically brought in that sheet into our pen. I'll put this in extract mode. Okay, so for furnitures and office only, we have here the sales. I'll save this. So we have now two different data connections here. As you can see, for this first worksheet we've used data from connection 1, and that is why there is a small blue color logo showing here. Okay, so this blue color logo indicates that currently the data that is displayed here belongs to this particular connection. If I click to the other connection, what happens is you can clearly see that there's a red icon, there's a clip sort of an icon that is coming here. So this symbolizes that this is the only common column present in both the data sources. Okay, so this column is present in connection 1 and connection 2. So by default Tableau will go to using this column as the key column in joining the both the data sets. Okay, so now suppose the in a practical scenario you have got like multiple stores in different locations, and then from each location you are getting different excels, and then like for like we have here in my first data connection I have like three categories of sales going on, and then my second data source I have like let me put it separately first. Okay, and then sales. So I want to merge this is one data, and then this is one visualization, both created from separate data sources and data connections. Okay, suppose if I want to display both the data in the same pane, so I can do that by clicking on in the first sheet itself. I just click on the second category, and then if I bring in the category from here, you can clearly see that only furniture and office supplies are brought here. Okay, so that is because we have only furniture and office supplies. Okay, so I don't want to display the same data here. Okay, let it be. What now? For what I want is I want to display the sales data. Okay, so I'll go to connection 1. I'll create a calculated field. Okay, in the calculation total sales, I'll name this as total sales, and then I'll put in the sum of sales, and then I'll add it to the sum of sales present in the second connection. To bring in that sales, I just have to type in sales, that's all. So I already know that the column name present there is sales. You can see here it is showing me connection to sales. I just click on it, it will bring me automatically the aggregated value of the sum. Okay, so I'll click on OK, and so now what I'll do is I'll bring in this data. I'll put this data in my display. Okay, so now you can see here that it is now showing. I'll create as another sheet. Okay, here I'll display the category and sales. Okay, so and also here I'll put in the sales. Okay, so now you see the sales from two different data sources. Okay, here they are displayed separately, but I want the total sum of both the sales, so I've added these here. So you can see that this added 742,000 plus 1223 will give us 743,223, right? So that is what is being displayed here. Okay, it is bringing in the sum. You can also notice that there is there is a null present here. Okay, so why this is happening is anytime we work with aggregating, okay, or any sort of mathematical operation we try to perform over a data, when any one of the variables null, what happens is the entire value becomes as null. Any operation in a SQL or an Oracle, you try performing a calculation with a null. Okay, suppose 0 into 2 into null, or 30 into null, or even 0 into null will not give us 0. It will give us null only. Okay, so any mathematical operation that we perform over null will bring us null only. So as we discussed earlier, you can see the technology has got no sales value here, so that by default brings in a null. Okay, so that's the reason why the value is showing a null. So in order to handle this null, there's a way calculation inside Tableau present. Okay, so the function is zn. So the function is called zn function. I just have to apply and then click OK. So now you can see the value is for value for the technology is displaying. Okay, so this is about data blending. So some of the applications of data blending are like this is like one purpose. You have like the same data from different connections and you want to use them only in one sheet. So this can be done. So what we have to notice from here is when you perform a data blending, you can see the whatever the connection we've created between the joints we've created between these two connections will stay to this sheet only. Okay, suppose if I'm creating a new sheet here, again the data will be as it was in the initial state. Okay, no joins or nothing will be present here. And also you might wonder, we are connecting here two different data sources. Okay, and I have also said that Tableau will use the common column that is present here. Okay, suppose if you want to use another column with a different name to perform a join, we cannot perform that. We have to rename the column and then Tableau will pick them up automatically. So when you are performing a data blending, you do not have the control over which column to use as join. So that's the first thing. And secondly, it's always a left join. Okay, so in this, when creating this worksheet, you might have noticed that we use connection 1 first and then later on we brought in connection 2. So by default the connection 1 will be your primary table for your left join. Okay, so this will be that will be a left join. So that is why whenever I displayed the category from the connection 1, all the three data got displayed. Okay, suppose I'll do this in a reverse manner. From first I'll use the connection 2. From here I'll display the categories. We all know that there is only two categories in my connection 2, and now I'll bring in my categories from the connection 1. You can see that it will display only two values. So why? Because we have used the connection 2 now, which is going to be my primary source, and now like as usual it is performing a left join over this connection 2 as my main data source. So that is why it is bringing only these two. Okay, and suppose if there are like multiple values that match a particular column, that data will be represented as a hashtag sign. Okay, so we'll move on to the next thing. So this is about data blending. Thank you. Hi everyone. So today let's discuss about filters. So filters in Tableau is the most important way of interacting with the data inside Tableau or for any other visualization tool that is present here today. Okay. So filtering in the sense, what does filtering do? Okay. As the name applies, what we are going to do is, suppose if there is a data for 56 states, that 46 state or 40 states, whatever the data is present, if you want to show view or the data only for a few of them, you have to do a filter. Okay, so in order to give the end user the option to filter out the data present in the visualization, we as developers have got a lot of options. Okay, so Tableau has got 4 different types of filters, and then there are multiple ways of creating the filters inside Tableau. Okay, so now let's see. I've already connected to a sample super source data set, and then I brought in my data from orders. Okay, the first level of the first place where we can add any type of filter is at the data source level. So in the data source level, if you see filters, here there's a number showing as 1 and there is edit. So I've already added one filter, so that is why it is showing as 1. So let's remove that and then let's start over. Okay, so what initially this is how your display will be. The filters will be showing 0 and an option called as add. Okay, so now if you click on this add, what happens is a small window pops up where it will be showing all the list of filters that are applied to this data source. Right now we have not applied any filter, so that is why it is not showing anything. Now if I click on add, what happens is it will show me the list of all the columns that are present inside the data source. Now out of these columns I want to create a filter based on state. I'll have to click on state and then click OK. So now that is done, what happens is a small window pops up. Okay, so this window, what it has is, it has the list of all the columns that are present inside Tableau itself. Okay, So not the column, it contains all the value present inside the state inside the data source. So right now you can see it is listing all the states, but none of them are selected. So whatever the states that we select from here will be filtered accordingly. Okay, so if so from this filter, whatever the values we select here will be filtered out. Okay, so let's see the options one by one. So in the general, you can see there are three radio buttons. One is select from list, custom value list, and then use all. Okay, so select from list, what it does is, so when you select a value from the list that is present here, uh, only those values will be filtered out. Okay, so whatever here I have to like manually select the values that I want to filter my data based on. Okay, so I'll click OK and then OK. Let's now go into the sheet and see how the data is reflected. You can see here that only the states that I have filtered out are present here. Okay, now let's go back and edit the filter once again. So let's edit this. So you can see whatever the list I have selected here only showed up there. That is select from list. Custom value list is when instead of selecting from a list, you will have to type in the values manually. Okay, suppose I want to add Florida, I just have to type in Florida and then click this plus button over here. So what this will do, this will add Florida to my data. So if at all Florida is not present in currently as part of the data, if it comes in the future, it will be added to our list. Okay, and then finally use all. So what use all does is uh, when um, when we want to use all the data, actually basically use all is not actually filtering the data, but use all what it does is it brings in all the values from the column into our data set. Okay, so we will not be using use all for filtering purpose. And there's another option called as this exclude. So if we have like 48 states and then um, you want to like exclude most of them, exclude whatever the values that you have selected, you just have to click on exclude. So what this will do is it will just remove those seven values that I have selected now and will bring in the remaining set of data into my visualization. So if I go into my sheet, you can see that all the states are present except for the ones that I have selected. Okay, so this is what exclude does. So let's edit this once again. Okay, so this is how exclude works, and then now we'll see all the other tabs present here one by one. So it is mandatory to note that this filter page, this filter window is what that applies everywhere inside Tableau whenever we opt for a filter. That is whenever we create a new filter or edit a already existing filter. So let's now check out wildcard. Okay, so wildcard is when you you want to filter based on certain conditions, certain text conditions. Suppose you want to filter out all the states that are starting with the letter C. So you can just type in C here and then select here starts with. Okay, if I select contains, what happens is, suppose if I select contains and then select Z, so whatever the state that has the letter Z in its spell, only those states will be filtered. If I click here also, the exclude option is present. If I click on exclude, whatever that comes as a result of this match value will be excluded. That means all the other values apart from this will be only shown inside my data. So let's see starts with and then ends with. So whatever the state name that ends with Z now will be filtered out. Okay, and then finally exactly matches. So whatever the name that exactly matches with the value that I have entered here, only those will be filtered, and then only those will be present inside the data. Okay, so this is about the wildcard. Okay, let's go to conditions. Suppose if you want to filter the states based on the third party third party column then you have to use conditions. So by initially it will be selected to none, but now we can add a level of detail to it by clicking on by field. And then now let's say I want to bring in the states based on the sales amount that they have performed. Okay, now I'll bring in state. I'll select, oh sorry, sum sales. Where is the, okay, I'll have to select sales and then sum, and then let me give in a value of $10,000. Okay, so now I'll bring in greater. So what this will do is it will bring in states whichever has sum of sales greater than 10,000. So whichever state has got a sales amount of greater than 10,000, only those states will be brought into our Tableau. Pretty neat, right? So this type of conditional filtering is what that provides us the power to dynamically filter out the data. Okay, so we can dynamically filter out the data with this sort of a condition. So instead of doing this, we can also load in range values. Okay, and then so now what we have done is we have actually used an existing column such as sales. If we want, I can use profit or whatever column I want. So instead of using an existing column, suppose we want to filter out the states based on a new calculation that we've formulated. That is where we use by formula. Okay, so you have to make a note that whatever the calculation that you put in here is a conditional calculation. That means it should be a conditional, have a condition having greater or less than or equal to symbol in it. Okay, so let's see, I want to filter out the states based on sales to profit ratio. What I will do is I'll put in sales divided by profit, and it should be greater than 10. Okay, so initially this will show an error because I have not added any aggregation to it, because when you are collaborating a measure with a dimension, you always have to add a level of aggregation. Okay, so now the error will not show. So now what it will do is it will calculate the sum of sales by sum of profit for all the states, and it will bring only those values that have the value greater than 10. Okay, so this is the conditional formatting by using a formula, and the last one is top. Okay, so here by default, like a previous one, it will be selected to none, and then we have to select from the field. Okay, so from field, if I select, so what this top does is it basically gives us it does the same thing what the condition does, but here it is like it will like rank the values based on whatever the column we've chosen. Suppose if I select here sales again and then sum of sales, level of aggregation, what it will do is it will bring me the states, top 10 states that have the largest amount of sum of sales. So that is what it will bring me. If I click here bottom, it will bring me the lowest most bottommost 10 sales value and then their respective states. So that is what it is do now. It will do. So why it is bringing every time state, you already know that we've created this filter based on the column state only. Okay, so that is why I am telling at every point it will bring filtering out state. Okay. Suppose this is also like here also we are like selecting only the existing column that are present as part of the data source. If I want to add a new custom calculation like I did for this condition, I can also do this here. So whatever I add here will be taken as part of the filter. Okay, so now let's click OK, and I don't want this let's skip because I've chosen like all the options that are present here, so that is why it is showing the error. We have to make a point that whatever the filters that we are adding here makes sense. Okay, now let's remove this and then click OK, and then we'll just add a simple filter based on say state, and then we'll just exclude this value and then go I've excluded Minnesota, and let's go into our visualization. You can see that Minnesota will not be present here. See, there's no Minnesota. Okay, so this is about the data source level of filtering. Next we'll see about normal filtering inside Tableau, cascade filtering, context filtering, and then finally custom SQL filtering. Hi everyone, so we have discussed about the data source level filtering just now. So let's see what types of filtering we can do when creating a worksheet. So now as usual I've connected to a sample superstores data and I've brought in orders 10. Okay, so now let's go into a worksheet. Okay, so here let's create a small visualization containing category. And subcategory, and then their related sales. Okay, so this is a simple tabular visualization. So suppose if I want to if the end user wants to filter out this data based on states, suppose there are like multiple states, suppose he wants to view the data for one particular state alone to see how the particular sales in that particular state is doing well or not. So to do that, what he has to do is just bring in the state column into the filter pane. So what this will do is inside the filter, once it is done, you can see you remember this filter window from the data source level filtering, right? The same options are present here also. So here once the data comes in, I am doing this filter. So you need to note that the data loss, the filter that we apply at the data source level will filter out the data and it will be reflected in all the worksheets. But the filter that we add here, we have the option to make this apply to all the sheets or not. Okay, so that is those options we'll see one by one later on. Okay, so now I selected all this and I'll select apply and then I'll click OK. So now you can see the numbers are all reduced. Okay, even if I see it in preview mode, this is how the end user will see. We'll have a look at the this is how it will look for the end user. Okay, so right now I have not given the power to the end user to change the filter. Right now I have put the states in the filter pane and I have filtered as a developer, Tableau workbook developer. I have filtered out the data and then the filtered out data is now as part of the visualization. Okay, but in order to give the end user the power to filter out the data on his own, I have to click this and then show the filter. So by clicking show filter now, if I give preview, the end user will be able to choose from the list of states the value he wants. You can see as I click on change, the data also changes. So that proves that the filter is working. Okay, so now we'll see these options, the various options that are present as part of this filter pane one by one. Okay, so the edit filter, what it does is it gives us the condition option to edit the filter by bringing the filter window. Okay, so let's not go through this again. Let's go to the next option. The next is clear filter. So what clear filter will do is it will clear out the entire filter and remove the filter. Okay, so clearing filter means that is what. Okay, we'll do that. And then add to construct. So we'll look at the context filter at the last. Okay, before which we'll be seeing cascade filtering. Okay, and then apply to worksheets. So when applying to applying to worksheets is used for us. So it's not that we're going to use only one worksheet. We'll be developing multiple worksheets like 10 or 15 or 20, even 20 worksheets at a time will be asked to develop. So if we want this particular filter to apply for all the other worksheets that we have developed, we need to use this option. So to demonstrate this, let me create another worksheet. So let this worksheet have region and sales. Okay, from this worksheet I'm going to, for this worksheet I created a state filter. What if I want to apply this filter to the other worksheet as well? To do that, I just have to go to apply to worksheets and then click on selected worksheets. Earlier it was not showing this option because we had only one worksheet. Now that we have multiple worksheets, that is we have two different worksheets, it is now showing. So if I click on selected worksheets, what happens is it lists me all the different worksheets that I have developed so far. So right now I have only two worksheets, that is why it is showing me. I just have to click on this second worksheet and then click OK. So what this will do is this will apply this filter to the second worksheet as well. Suppose if I have this in a dashboard, so I have two different sheets here, and then from here if I go to the to analysis and then filters, the state filter. So what will happen is if I change the filter here, you can see the filter is applied to both the sheets. You can see this is the end view for the end user. So as I change the filter, if it will be applied to both the worksheets. Okay, so let's go back to worksheet 1. And that is related to apply to worksheets. Suppose if at all we are creating 20 to 25 worksheets, so at that case what we have to do is instead of going and selecting each worksheet one by one, we can do this by selecting all using this data source or all using related data source. So what this will do is it will uh, uh, this will like apply this filter to all the worksheets or dashboards or wherever we have used this particular data source, this orders data source for here. The connection name is orders sample superstore. So wherever we use this data source, to all those places the filter will be applied. Okay, and then create set. So what create set does is to whatever the list of values we've selected as part of this filter, if you want to create a set at that point, you can just use this option and then click OK. So what this will do, this has now created a set. We'll discuss about sets later on. Okay. And now we'll see about the dimensions attributes. So what this option is like, we can change. So suppose the states I wanted to make a filter out of it by taking account of it, whichever state has been repeated in the data more number of times. To take that sort of a filter, I can use those, but we don't want that. Okay, so let me just recall what dimensions and measures are. So whenever we bring in a data source into Tableau, what Tableau does is it segregates the different columns into two different types: dimensions and measures. Okay, so dimensions are columns which cannot be aggregated, and then measures are columns which can be aggregated. So all your pure numeric values, either might it be integer or float, those will be considered as measures, and all your alphanumeric and non-numeric columns will be considered as dimensions, which would include any string, geographical data, date, or any alphanumeric columns such as rows and ID rows. Okay. And now, so like this is all the option when it comes to filtering. Okay. Now, the way the filter option is displayed to the end user, that we have to control. So for the filter, like I said, for the filter to apply to the end user, for him to control, we have to click on show filter. So once I click on show filter, this filter option will be visible here. As you can see, this is right now a multi-selecting checkbox type of filter. Okay, we can select multiple values with the help of a checkbox. Suppose I want it as a radio button. So you know that radio buttons are options where we can choose only one option at a time. So that in order to do that, I can change this the way this data is being represented by choosing this down arrow. So you can see that once I click this down arrow, there are multiple options that are present here. Let's look at them one by one. So the first one is edit filter, which brings me to the filter editing filter window like earlier on. Let's close that. So remove filter will remove and apply to worksheets. It's the same thing that we just saw. Like the same option is available here. So like Tableau has this tendency to provide us with options, one single option in multiple places. Okay, so like for instance, if you want to create a calculated field, we can create that at the data source level itself, or we can create it when creating the worksheet, or even after the worksheet, and even at the point of creating a dashboard also. If you want to create calculated fields, we can create. So similarly, this option is also present here again. Okay, and then format filter is to format the way the filter is looking, like the font, the background image, or the title, how these are all supposed to be shown. Okay, and then customize. So customize is where you can control whether it has to show the all option or not. Okay, so if I click this, what happens is, you can see earlier it was showing a button called as the all, where all of the states can be selected at a single click. So to make that appear again, I'll just have to click on show all values. So now you can see this button has reappeared, and from here we can view all the other states at a one single time. Okay, apart from this, there is a show search button option. You can see there is a search feature available here. I can search for whatever the state I want from here itself. Like if I type in Florida, it will bring me Florida. Okay, so that is also available here. In order to remove the search option, suppose there's only three values that are showing. In this category here, in this data, there's only three values for this category column: furniture, office supplies, and technology. And if you are putting that in a filter, the search option will not be mandatory at all. So at that case, what we can do is, we can just click off this search option, and then the search option will not be present here. Okay, so that is one other option. And then the show filter types means you can see the drop down itself has got changed. Okay, but I want those filter types. So these are like so more for after this, apart from all this and show search button, this include show filter, show more or fewer values and all. So show more or fewer values. So what this does is, so what this does is, initially it will show only 5 values, and then if we click more values, then all the values will be showed. Okay, so that is what show more or fewer values is used for. Okay, and then include exclude, what this does is, so when we right click a filter, and then here the include values is right now selected. So that is why whatever the values I select, only for those states the data is showing. If I go to this and then select exclude values, what happens is, whatever I have selected, those will be excluded, but I don't want to do that. Let it be included itself. Okay, and then show apply button. So what happens here is, if I change the filter, any sort of filter, earlier on what happened is, whatever the option that I chose, it was reflecting automatically here. Okay, so instead of that, right now you can see I'm clicking more values and changing the filter, but the data is not reflecting. In order for it to reflect, I have to click apply, and then the filter will be applied. Okay, so this will be these are all some of the visualization filter options that we can provide to the end user. Okay, right now I don't want this apply. And then the ways different ways we want to display the filter. So first one is single value list. So with this option, the user will be able to select only one state at a time. Okay, and then there is single value drop down, in order for us to save the space, we can use this option. And then there is single value slider. So if I move this, these are like some of the ways we can represent the filter, but they all operate the same way. And then multi-list, multi-value drop-down, wildcard matches is a bit intriguing, where whatever I type in, if it matches, if it is being contained inside the data, then it will bring me the data. Okay. So for now I'll remove this. I'll make it a normal multi drop down. Okay. So here I can just select the values that I want. Okay. And then only relevant values, and then all values in database. So that this brings us to the next topic, cascading filter, which we'll discuss in the next slide. Thank you. Hi everyone. So now let's discuss about cascade filters. Okay. So before we go into cascade filters, I showed that the first way of filtering is to drag in your column that you want to create a filter over to the filter pane. So like what I did here. So I'll take this out and then I'll show it again. Okay. So this is one way of creating a filter. I just use all apply and click OK. So instead of dragging it here, you can just click over here, right click over here, and then click on show filter. So what this will do, this will automatically put to your column. Suppose let's do it with another column. So if a category I'm showing, I'm clicking on show filter, what it will do, it automatically put this category into your filter shelf, and then it will start displaying the filter option for category. Okay. So now let's see about cascade filter. Okay. At any point in time, we might have multiple filters for one single worksheet. Okay, let's now create a separate worksheet, and let's create a small visualization first. Okay, so let this visualization have region, and let it have segment. Okay, and then let it have sales. So region, for each region, what are the segment by sales now that we have represented in a table format. Okay, so now the next thing what we have to do, what we need to do to demonstrate this cascade filter is, let's have category as part of our filter. Okay, and then let's also have subcategory as part of my filter. So just add a click show filter. I want this on the top, and then I want this as multiple value drop down, just so that I don't get confused. Okay, so let this be as it is. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to select okay, in this visualization, instead of using segment, I'll just use category and subcategory itself. It will be easy for us to display. Okay, so instead of showing the entire value, what I can do now is, suppose I'm filtering based on furniture alone. Okay, so right now the furniture alone is displaying here, and from the subcategory I'll choose another value which is tables. Okay, so table, instead of tables, let me check envelopes. The data is not coming because there is no data for furnitures under envelopes. Okay, so let's see what are all the data present inside furniture. So furnitures, I have got only bookcases, chairs, furnitures, and then tables, furnishings, and then tables. So these are the only 4 values present inside furniture. But we cannot, like in a practical scenario, we cannot go to the end user and ask him to remember what are all the values that are present inside category. So he would want something that is more dynamic. So based on the values that I select here, the end user would want the data that is displaying the second filter also to be changed. Okay, so to do that, let me to do that, what we have to do is go to the options and then select here only relevant values. So what this will do is, so initially this is the initial state of the filter. Okay, if I deselect everything and then select only furnitures, you can see the data reflected in the furniture is now showing us only the values present for this furniture. Okay, so from here I can select the values I want. Okay, pretty neat, right? So if I select furniture and office supplies together, it will show me the subcategories relevant to these two category only. Okay, so this is called as cascade filter in general. Okay, so we can achieve this cascade filter inside Tableau using this option called as only relevant values. Okay, so this is regarding cascade value. This is very simple concept to grasp on. Okay, so now let me demonstrate this cascade value with country, city and state, or region, city and state. Okay, so we'll go to a next sheet. Let me choose region, state and then city. So city, there are lots of cities, so the data will be large. So you can see there are three different values present here. Okay, so these three different values present here, and then I'm going to add region, state and then city all to my filters. So I'll choose region and then show filter and then state and then show filter and then finally city and then show filter. Okay, so I have now three different filters here. Let me change them to multi-value drop down so that becomes easy for us to access. Multi-value drop down. Okay, I want region to be on top, state to be on second. So this is, so I'm just rearranging so that I don't get confused with the hierarchy. Okay, so there are now three filters here. So first, if I select any region, so I just want the stage from this particular region to be displayed here. Right now it is showing me, displaying me all the states. So to do that, what I have to do is go here and then click only relevant values. So by doing that, what happens here is only the states related to the central region will be displayed here. And then from here I can select many values, any values that I want. Okay. Similarly, for let's say if I have selected only one state. Okay, and then in the city filter you can see it is showing me all the cities. In order for me to select only the cities related to state lower, I just have to click here only relevant values. Okay, and now it is showing me only the values for city. In this particular city I can choose from that. The end user will not be able to access these options and all. Okay, so this is how the end user will be able to look. The end user, the final dashboard, this is how it will be for the end user. He will not be able to edit and all. Okay, so here if I select any particular region, only those related states will appear here, and then from the states only the relevant cities will be appearing here. So this is cascade filter. There is one catch to this. Okay, so there's one particular catch to this. Right now I've arranged this region, state and the city in this particular order, and then I'm selecting the filter in this particular order only. What if so let's select all the region, all the states, and then in the cities what I'm doing is let me do one thing. Okay, here I'm selecting only one city. Okay, here I'm selecting only one city. So what this has done is this one city it has filtered out the data, that is good, but in the state filter also now what has happened is it is showing me only one state that is relevant to this city, because earlier you remember we gave only relevant values. Okay, so that option works for all the filters. So any filter that I use, it is showing me only those relevant values. Tableau as it on its own doesn't realize that the state should be showing all the values even if I select only one particular city. Okay, so the state, for the state, in order for it to get the data inside the state for it to filter out, only it should change only based on region and not based on cities. Okay, that level of hierarchy we have not yet provided. So in order to provide that, we have to use context filters. Okay, so to use we'll see how to add context filters. Right now let me remove this filter, click on. As you can see now all the states will be present inside this state filter. You see this all present now. Okay, so how to add this to a context filter? So to do that, what we have to do is first add um, these filters one by one in the proper order. So it is mandatory that we add these filters one by one in proper order to the context filter. So because once added, we cannot know in which order the filter has been added to the context filter. So we'll have to make a note that we be completely aware in which order we apply these filters. Therefore, how to add a filter to a context? What we have to do is click on region. I mean the filter, the drop down. You can see an option called as add to context. So this I'm going to add to context, and then the state I'm going to add to the context. So what this will do is it will make Tableau realize that so first level of filter that has to be taken into consideration is region, and then after that we have to consider state, and then finally only we have to take into consideration our city. So now if you see, if I select any city, what happens is, so I am choosing multiple city. Now what you can see, the state is still showing all the values. So this is what I wanted. But if I select any particular region, let's deselect all the values. Now if I select any particular region, still the states are getting filtered based on the region that I am selecting. Let me select only one region for easier understanding. So you can see the state is right now the state field is the values in the state filter is getting filtered based on my region, but not based on my city, even though I have given here only relevant values. Okay. Okay, so this is one thing. So this is context filter. So how this context filter works is, that is very important for us to take a note of. So how context filter works is, whenever we add a filter to a context, what Tableau does is it takes a copy of the actual data after the filter is applied, and it takes that particular data copy and then stores separately inside Tableau. Okay, so then further on, whatever the filter that is being applied, it will be applied from the from the value that is being stored separately as part of this context filter, and as part of the data source. Okay, so what I am trying to say is, when you are adding filters to the context filter, what it will do, Tableau will take a copy of the data and then store it separately. If we add more number of context filters, and the more number of data copies will be taken, and then the performance might get degraded based on the amount of data present in each context filter. So it is, even though it is context filters can be used to improvise the performance of the worksheet, or to add more functionality, we have to be cautious in the way we add the filters to the context filter. Okay, so this is regarding cascade filters and context filters. Thank you. So we discussed about cascade filters and context filters and the normal types of filtering that we do in Tableau. So apart from these three, there's another way of filtering the data that comes into our data source. So when we are connected to a database, okay, so right now the connection is a Microsoft SQL connection. Whenever let's try adding a SQL, but I do not have any SQL server, so bear with me. That's okay. So whenever we connect to a SQL database, what happens is, apart from all the tables and views and objects from the particular database that will be listed here, along with those there will be an option called as the custom SQL option. So when you click on that, what Tableau does is it opens a window where you can type in a custom SQL statement based on which the data will be brought in. Okay, so when doing that, what happens is, when writing a SQL statement, at times we tend to write var clause, right? So it goes like this: select star from orders where category is equal to furniture. So this statement would bring us all the data related to categories related to furniture only. Okay, suppose in the var class, the category I have hard coded it as furniture. In order for me to pass that dynamically So whatever I pass in a parameter that I created locally, to have that value inside that select statement, Tableau allows me to do that. Okay, so doing that we can achieve custom SQL filtering. It is same as the data source level of filtering, but just the thing is we are controlling the value inside the filter with the help of a parameter. So parameter can be created by this. So we just have to go here, right click on category and then create parameter. So within this parameter, all the values that are present inside the category from the data source will be present here, and from here we can choose the different values we want. So I have created a parameter called as the category parameter. I'll click on OK. So let me show control over this. So this is how the parameter will look like. So parameter at a time will hold only one value, it cannot hold multiple values. Okay, so we'll discuss in detail about the parameter and its properties and what all the things we can do with the parameter later on. Okay, but for custom SQL, we have to know that custom SQL filtering, we have to know that we have to use a parameter in order to achieve the custom SQL filtering, and whatever the value we pass in this parameter, that can be used in order to build the custom SQL query. Okay, and also we have to make a note that when we are using custom SQL queries, our connection has to be live, because in custom SQL query, any change that we do, it has got to fetch the data from the data source only. In order for it to do that, the connection always has to be in live mode only. Okay, so this is about custom SQL filtering. Thank you. Hi everyone. So today we are going to discuss about hierarchies. Okay. So I've already connected to my sample superstores data, and then I brought in my orders. So let's go into one of our sheets. Okay. So what is a hierarchy? So hierarchy is when the flow of data, the order of the data in which they are arranged has got a link between themselves. Okay, so one will come under other, one will come under other. So for instance, if you take category and subcategory will come under category. So this is an hierarchy. If we take an organization, employee under consideration, the first most highest level of hierarchy would be the CEO, and then the directors, and then the managers, and then the team leads, and then from the team leads your tech leads, and then your tech leads to your senior developers, and then your so this is the hierarchy we usually follow in an IT organization, IT firm. Okay, so similarly for Tableau to know that we can create hierarchies. Okay, so hierarchies, when I say hierarchy, so in creating a table representation of data. Okay, suppose let's say we are a category, put subcategory in it, and then along with subcategory, let me put let's put segment. Okay, let's have segment here. So for each category, subcategory, and segment, let me show. Okay, all the measure values. Okay, so I'm showing this. Suppose in this level you can see the values that are, let me see. So you can see the values that are being represented here are actually in the subcategory level. Okay, the values present here in the subcategory level, but I do not want it to display directly in the subcategory level. I want to first see the data in the category level, and then when I drill down, it should show me the subcategory level. So this is how the basic reports requirement would be. So in that sort of a scenario, what we have to do is we have to tell Tableau that category falls under subcategory, and when they drill down category only, subcategory should appear. To do that only we have to create hierarchies inside Tableau. Okay, so we can create hierarchies inside Tableau. It's by just clicking. Okay, I'm going to create a hierarchy for category, right? I'm just going to right click on category, and then here when I right click, there are like lots of options showing here. Okay, starting from creating a duplicate. So creating duplicate means making copy of that column. So if you dig duplicate, you can see there's a copy of this column that has been created. So if I open this, if I just edit this, you can see that there's nothing but a calculated field where the category is being called, and this will appear as a separate column. So why I'm emphasizing on duplicate when we discuss about hierarchy is, I'll explain the importance later, but you can see in the data here by clicking on this icon, you can actually view what the data is present. You can see along with the category a new column called as the category copy is being created. If I want, I can also rename this column to anything I want. Okay, so why are we creating duplicates? Uh, so when creating a hierarchy, what happens is when you use a column when creating a hierarchy, that hierarchy gets fixed. Okay, so this column, what happens is when I go to another sheet, the same hierarchy would have applied to that column again. Two places where I do not want that hierarchy to appear. Okay, in that sort of a scenario, it's better advice that we create a duplicate of the current column and then use the duplicate to create the hierarchy. So let me rename this first. Okay, I'll rename this to category for hierarchy. Okay, let's do that P. Okay, so I'll use this column to create my duplicate to create my hierarchy. So I'll just go straight to hierarchy, and then in the option initially right now it is showing only create a hierarchy. If I had already created hierarchy, what it would do is it would prompt me another option which allows me to add this column to that hierarchy that is already existing. But right now we do not have any existing hierarchies. We are just now creating our very first hierarchy here. So to create this hierarchy, I just have to click on hierarchy, and voila, and we can rename the hierarchy as okay, let it hierarchy 1. Hierarchy 1. Okay, so now I have created a hierarchy called as category for hierarchy 1, which has got only one column in it right now. So I want to add my subcategory also to this hierarchy, right? So what I'll do, I'll create a duplicate. It is not mandatory that we create a duplicate, but it will be helpful in order to avoid confusions. Okay, so these are all some of the practices we as professional Tableau developers should be following when creating a worksheet or anything into doing a Tableau. Okay, so I'll click on duplicate. A duplicate has been created. So I'll not be renaming this again. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just have to right click over it, and then if I go to hierarchy, you can see there's an option called as add to hierarchy, and under add to hierarchy, the hierarchy that we had earlier created is now showing. Okay, so I just have to click this, and then if I go to hierarchy 1, you can see the hierarchy is now created, and the order also we have to make sure that this is in the proper order, or else it will not it will work, but it will not as expect it will not perform as expected. Okay, so now if I take this category into my visualization, it will just show category the categories, and then let me display in the measure values. Okay, so it is now displaying all the discounts. It is now displaying the sales, profit, and quantity sold for furnitures, office supplies, and technology. And then now that we have created a hierarchy where the sub hierarchy is subcategory, I just have to. You see the small plus icon that appears. So that icon means that this is part of this has got a hierarchy within it, and then we can drill down it. So we can drill down it by clicking this plus symbol. What happens is the subcategory appears, and then the level of aggregation changes to subcategory. So this is a simple hierarchy creating mechanism inside Tableau. Okay, so now there's another what happens is if I change this hierarchy, so before going to that, so you can see the subcategory and then category. In order to again revert this back, the plus symbol that was initially, now it has been converted into minus. Now that we have opened the hierarchy, we can undo this by clicking on minus symbol. So what happens now is the hierarchy is gone. The hierarchy is present, but the data is gone. Okay, the hierarchy level is now shrunk. Okay, so now let's do something else. Okay, let's change the level of hierarchy. So I'm changing this to subcategory. Okay, and now I'm bringing in subcategory. What you see will happen is still the plus icon will come because we have now placed category under subcategory. And now if I click on, you can see this category name appearing on the sheet. Okay, but we don't want this. What I wanted to emphasize is the order in which the columns are placed inside a hierarchy, that plays a major role. Okay, that plays a very major role. Now if I go to sheet, let me remove all this. Okay, so let me remove all this. Here if I now if I use this column again, right, we created this hierarchy from worksheet 8. Now I'm in worksheet 7. If I try to use this subcategory, the hierarchy will still show here. Okay, so that is why I prompted that we always create a duplicate and then use the duplicate. So now that I've used the duplicates to create this hierarchy, I can use the original subcategory here and it will not be impacted. It will not have any of those hierarchy stuff in it. Okay. And then the other thing is instead of going and right clicking and creating clicking on hierarchy, add to hierarchy, the other way of bringing stuff into our hierarchy is just by dragging and pulling it into the hierarchy itself. So this product name I'm going to pull it into my hierarchy. So I placed it under category. I'm going to rearrange this category as my top level of hierarchy. And now the hierarchy 1 is updated. You can see the first level of hierarchy is category, then the second is subcategory, and then the third is product name. Okay, so in this visualization you can see, let me change this once again. Okay, so if you see that it's under category, and then from category your subcategory will come, and then from your subcategory your product names will come. There are lots of products, and that's why the list is a bit long. Okay, so let's close this again, and then let's close the category also. And then when we are doing aggregation, we can change the level of aggregation. Let's see, when I go to totals, and then let me display all the subtotals. Okay, so when I reduce this, and then when I drill down, you can see that for each subcategory the total values are all getting displayed. And then when I again drill down, what happens is we're showing all the subtotals again. You just have to take her out of it. Okay, and analysis totals, and then all totals using whatever we want. We can change all these things. I can also remove the subtotals that are present here. Okay, I remove them. Okay, so I have removed category from removed all the hierarchy. I've reverted the drill down. I'm done. Okay, so this is regarding the hierarchies inside Tableau. Okay, thank you. Hi everyone. So let's discuss about parameters now. Okay, so parameters in Tableau are what you call as placeholders or variables in any other tool or language. Okay, suppose when we take a SQL, we create a variable as an argument or a variable for that we pass for a procedure or a function. So at that point in time, the particular variable created will hold only one value, and will pass that value as an input to one to the functions or stored procedures that we write in a SQL language, okay, or any other language for that matters. So similarly here, along with all the values that get displayed in the filter, suppose I want a category filter, I just have to go click here and then click show filter, and then the categories will appear in the filter, and then from which I can select So these are all like inbuilt, okay. But parameter is something when you create a parameter, it will have no meaning or no function towards it. It will just be a variable that holds a value. So that is what it will be. So let's delete the parameter that is already existing. Let's delete this, and then let's create a new parameter. So to create a parameter, we can opt for multiple number of ways. Okay. Uh, we can create parameters just by right clicking over any field that we want. Okay. It is not specific to one place. Okay. Like we discussed earlier, any option can be accessed from anywhere. So just randomly I'm clicking on any of the columns, and then when you go into create, you can see there are four different options: calculated fields, groups, sets, and parameters. First we'll see parameters, and then we'll cover one by one. So let me select a parameter. So since I clicked on order ID and then I created a parameter, it will bring all the values that are present at this point in time in the order ID column. Okay, let's clear all the. So when you create a parameter, first you will have to name the parameter. I am just going to give this test. I'm going to name this as test parameter. The first thing we'll have, the second, once you added the name, and then if you want to add a description to it, you can add all the descriptions you to it either way you want it. Okay. After all this, you have to choose the data type of the parameter. So we've already discussed about the various data types present inside the Tableau. Okay. So these are some of the data types you can select. The first one is float, integer, string, boolean, date, and date time. For now, I'll choose a string. Okay. So based on the data type that you choose here, the below options will get varied. Okay. Suppose if instead of a string, if I choose an integer, you see the display format will now is now enabled. From here I can like change the value way the value has been displayed. Instead of normal numeric value, I can change, I can put this into a percentage with 2 decimal values or 3 decimal values the way I wanted to. So depending on what data you want to be displayed inside the parameter, you have to choose your data type, and then from the data, based on the data type, the other options will be enabled or disabled. For instance, like we just saw, integer is one example. So if I create select date, for date also there are various display formats, and then we can choose whatever the format we want. But right now I'm just going to stick with the string. Okay. So with the string created, so there are 3 different options present here: all, list, and then range. So right now the string has got no range, so right now only these 2 values are enabled for us to choose from. So all means, so what all does is, so I just click on select all and then click on OK. Okay. So our parameter named as test is now created. So once a parameter is created, two things we'll have to do. The first one is show the control for the parameter. Okay. Show the control of the parameter. So now I have shown the control of the parameter. Now the parameter is now displayed here. Okay. I'll put this on top, and then I'll remove this filter. I don't want us to confuse. Okay. So now the parameter. So what now? The test parameter that we have created is of string type, and then we have chosen all. Note that we have chosen all. Okay. So that means that I can type in any word here. It will take like any heat or any word I type in here. It will take in. It will take as input. Okay. And then now what happens is, within this parameter named as test, this data will be saved. Okay. Suppose let me create a new worksheet, and then let me display this test. I'm sorry. Parameters when numeric they will be displayed. Okay. So now what I'll do is I'll show the parameter control here, and then here what I'll do is I'll type in something. Okay. So now the parameter has got a value. So this value, if it is an integer, it will be displayed, but now that we are using test, it is not displaying anything. So whatever the value that I type in as input to my parameter, it will be stored in that parameter. Okay, so let me create a calculation and then bring in the parameter here. I just have to type in the name. Okay, let's recreate this parameter. Edit. Let me choose list and let's give some values. C and click OK. So now it's not showing. That's okay. So let's create a calculated field now. I'll just create calculated field. Okay, I understand. Let's rename them. Now let's create a calculated field. Okay, I'll remove this. Okay, so it was showing earlier, I just didn't recognize the name. Okay, I'll click apply and then I'll click OK, and then when I display this calculation, you can see whatever the value I have inside this will now be displayed. Okay, let me change this again to edit and then I'll choose all and then click OK. So you see whatever I type in here, whatever I type in here will be stored inside this parameter and it will be displayed if I use this parameter inside a calculation. Okay, so what we are trying to say is a parameter, the first thing we have to know about the parameters, it is like a variable that holds any value that we select. Okay, when I say select, we have to have a couple of options. We can provide the options when creating the parameter, or we can just put in all. That means we can type in any value we want, but that will not be the case. Most of the time we'll be creating lists only. So let me edit this parameter and then let's create a list for this. Okay, so there are multiple ways of creating a list, a custom list. Okay, I can create a list just by typing the name whatever I want. So I'll just type in apple, B for ball, C for cat. So these are some of the values that I have now inserted as a list. Okay, and then here you can see the display value also, it is like apple, ball and then cat. I'll select OK. So now what happens is, so I'll as a radio button, so you can see from this parameter the three values are being displayed now. Okay, I can select any value I want from the list and then this will be taken into this calculation. So you can ask what is the use of all this. Okay, so now that I got a parameter, I can give any value as input, and then this input, in order for me to give power to the parameter, I have to use that in a calculation. Okay, so where all this brings power to parameters when you create a calculation only. So when you create a calculation, the method you use to create the calculation, or the logic that you use in creating the calculation, so all this plays a major role in providing meaning to the parameter that you have created. Okay, just some of the examples I'll demonstrate one by one. Okay, before that I'll explain all the various options that are provided as part of creating a parameter. Okay, so this is regarding the string parameters. Okay, now let's create another parameter. Okay, so this time let's clear. I'll use string and then I'll use list. Instead of typing in the values manually, suppose you have want the values from a particular column to be displayed as a list in your parameter, all you have to do is select add from field. It will display all the fields that are present here. Just click on category. Okay, just click on for now, like I say, I want to create a parameter which displays all the values that are present inside a category. So in this category, there are like 3 values present at this point in time. So you have to make sure that, make a note that whenever you are creating a parameter list from an existing column, at that particular point in time, whatever the values that are present inside the column, those only will be present inside the parameter. Okay, so suppose right now we have only 3 values in the column, so that is why these 3 values are now present inside my parameter list. Okay, I'll show this control. Okay, so only these 3 values are now present inside the parameter. Okay, suppose in the future, if another category is being added, this will not reflect inside the parameter. It will only be reflected inside our data set, but that will not impact our parameters, because parameters will not change dynamically based on the data source. So that we have to make note of. Okay, unless until we go and add the parameter manually, it will not change. Okay, so this is one thing I wanted to show you. Let's edit this, and then the other ways to do this is I can add values from other parameters also. Okay, so I just added we have already created a separate parameter, right? So I just added values from those parameters also. Okay, and then if you have like copied from an Excel file multiple values, so let me go here, create an Excel sheet. Suppose you have like lots of values present inside the Excel, details such as country or state from a particular region of the world, and then you want to display all those values as a parameter list inside your Tableau. You can do that also. So what we have to do is, suppose I have now here, let's take the states from India. Okay, let's take Tamil Nadu, let's take New Delhi, let's take Kerala. So all these values, let's suppose like these are some of these things. I'll just have to copy them, and then now instead of pasting them directly, you just have to click on paste from clipboard. All these values are now imported as part of your parameter values. Okay, and then like if you want to clear all of them and then start all over again, you just have to click clear all, and then they will all be gone. Okay, right now I just need the categories. Okay, so what is the use of bringing in all the values that are already present inside a column? Okay, so so let's now do a case study. Okay, suppose the requirement is as such. You want to display comparative analysis between the categories, subcategories itself. Suppose if the parameter input is furnitures, my furniture sales should show in one as one, and the rest of the things should show as others. So to do that, there's also a concept called as the grouping, but we'll not go into that. With the parameters, we can achieve that. So I already said that once a parameter is created, it will not do nothing but just hold the value inside. To give power to the parameter, we have to create a calculated field. So we can create a calculated field by just by right clicking anywhere, like I said. So right now I'll just click right click on category and then create a calculated field. Okay, so this category is actually the field from our data source. Okay, so here let me create a calculation to achieve what I just described. So the calculation would go like this: if category is equal to the parameter name, this is the name of the parameter, unfortunately. So then category, it should give me the category, else it should give me the terminology others, and then I'll end this here. So this can be my dynamic category. I'll just name as dynamic category. Okay, I'll just click apply and then okay. So now I'll remove this off and then I'll put in my calculation. You see there are only two options showing here. Whatever the option I've chosen as furnitures is showing and all the other values are showing as others. In order for us to better understand this calculation, let me put in the category inside also. Okay, so you can see the furnitures are also showing as furnitures and the other two are now clubbed together as orders. Okay, let's now remove this and then let me put in sales here in the text area. So there is now we can see that furniture is alone as provided as this much and the others provided as this much of data. So this will be more informative when this is a percentage. Okay, so I'll go to quick table calculations and then I'll choose percentage of total. So this will give me what percentage the sales has happened. Okay, furniture is 32% and the rest together they combine and form 67%. Okay, if I select office supplies, this changes, and then if I select technologies, and then it again changes. Okay, so this will look better represented as a pie chart. So I just have to click on show me and then click on pie chart. So you see now the data is presented as pie chart. To make this even more informative, I just have to drag put in a label. I'll put in this in the label part. Now you see the labels are appearing. I'll also put in this in my label. Okay. I'll put sales also in label so that we can see the sales amount. Okay, so this sales amount I wanted to show as a percentage, so I'll do quick table calculation. I'll choose percentage of total. This will give me the visualization that we are looking for. So this is a small application of a parameter. So some of these, another application is like if you are having a chart. Okay, and now here I have displayed profit, quantity and sales all together in one visualization. Suppose based on whatever the value I select in the parameter, I want to display the measure dynamically. So to do that, so let's now edit this parameter, this text parameter. Let me choose let me string here. Let me type in sales. Here let me apply profit and then discount. Okay, I'll click OK. So right now this has got three options, that is sales, profit and discount. So what my requirement is, if I select here sales, then sales should appear. If I select here profit, then profit should appear. So that is my requirement here. So to do that, again we have to create a calculation only. Okay, so let me create a calculation again. Create calculated field, and then in the calculated field what I have to do is again I'll write a if class. If test is equal to, so one thing we have to make sure is, this is a case sensitive, we have to make sure the spellings match exactly or else it will not work. Okay, then what I want to display sales. Okay, else if equal to profit then profit. Else I'll just use the else case for the last one, else discount, and then end my calculation here. So dynamic measure, dynamic measure. Okay, I'll click on apply and then I'll click on OK. So now if I drag this measure here, you see right now it is pointing to profit. We have selected a profit, that is why it is showing the profit values. You see the profit values are all both matching. Okay, so now if I select here sales, the sales value will be shown. If I select a discount, the discount value will be shown. I don't have the discount. Let's put the discount into our visualization and it should work like a charm. Okay, so this is about string parameter. Okay, there are like date parameters, and then from date parameters, integer parameters. So all these are have different usage. The usage is all same. The usage is based on whatever the calculation that we prefer to use incorporating the parameter. Okay, it is all based on that. The parameter gets the power. Okay. So next, so this is about the string types of parameters, and then the some of the example that we just saw using string parameters. So later on we'll discuss about date parameters, and then integer parameters. Okay, so thanks for watching.